So right now, I am at the edge of the battle line of the Army of Northern Virginia. This is where my ancestors stepped off. My fourth grade uncle, his sons, my distant cousins, many prominent distant cousins. This is where they stepped off. This is the approximate location of where they stepped off on July 3rd, 1863, of the famous Pickett's Charge. So what I'm going to do, in honor of my ancestors, in honor of Pickett's division, I'm going to read a quote that General Pickett said himself before the charge. But before I do that, let me add that Colonel E. Porter Alexander, the commander of the Army of Northern Virginia's artillery, he was told by Robert E. Lee, like I talked about when I was up on Cemetery Hill, to bombard that line before Pickett's division, Pettigrew and Trimble's divisions, crossed this open field behind me, as you can see right behind me. The bombardment went on for a couple hours. It was absolutely devastating, but it was not effective. It was loud, a lot of projectiles crossing this field, but not devastatingly effective when it came to meeting its goal or meeting the expectations. So after the bombardment, General Longstreet commanded General Robert E. Lee and Pettigrew and Trimble. He said, "Okay, boys, send your men across that field." And that's what they did. So, on July 3rd, 1863, my ancestors' division commander, George Pickett, he said to all of the sons of Virginia, including my ancestors and relatives, he said, quote, "Up, men, and to your posts. And don't forget today that you are from old Virginia." Boom, boys. Right down there. Let's go. That just gets me fired up. That gets me so fired up reading that, because that is what happened. That is exactly what happened. Don't forget today that you are from old Virginia. These men stood here. They stood on this line, and they were willing to go across the field, across an open field of artillery. And they were willing to do it for old Virginia. They were willing to do it for their wives, for their lovers, their girlfriends, their children, their mothers, their fathers, their family, their communities. They were willing to die for their home state, their country of Virginia. And that is what my ancestors did. And that's why I am not ashamed. That's why I am proud. And that's why I am going to walk across this field and walk in the footsteps for the first time ever of my ancestors of the 19th Virginia Volunteer Infantry Regiment. So, come with me. We're walking across the Cemetery Ridge. Let's do it. So as I'm starting from Cemetery Ridge, the Army of Northern Virginia, the battle line, I'm going to be walking my way across to Cemetery Ridge over here. I'm following this path. This isn't the legitimate, footsteps of my ancestors under Garnett's Brigade, the 19th Virginia Infantry Regiment, but this is a pretty easy or simple way to get across here. So what do my ancestors, or what are my relatives, my distant cousins of Virginia, what are they seeing right now? What are they experiencing? Well, they are seeing and experiencing artillery opening up on them. Once we get closer to Cemetery Ridge, they are going to be opened up upon by Union artillery on all different sides of the field. All the way over there, as you can see, those two big hills, that is Little Round Top and Big Round Top over there. Over here, as you can see, going all the way to Cemetery Hill, that foliage and those trees are not there in 1863 that I'm assuming. So Cemetery Hill, all the way down Cemetery Ridge, and Little Round Top and Big Round Top, they are lining those cannons right now onto this point. So Pickett's division down here, crossing here, to Pettigrew all the way down there to Trimble. So these honorable men are marching approximately how I'm marching, and they're walking their way across these fields on a hot, blazing July 3rd, 1863 day. I don't know if it was as cold, as hot as July 1st and 2nd, but still, we're talking about July 3rd here, ladies and gentlemen. So, right now, the position that they want to go to, the epicenter they want to go to is those copse of trees I was talking about on Cemetery Ridge right over there. So, as you can see, this path goes up and down. The elevation increases up and down as I am walking it. So this is approximately what they would have been experiencing and what they would have been doing and seeing while they're being opened up upon by Union artillery on all three sides, left, right, and center. So right after we get up this crest is when the Union artillery is going to start going from long-range shells to then the grape shot and canister that is going to open up once we cross the Emmitsburg Road. Then I am going to reenact what happened, the portrayal of what happened July 3rd, 1863. And if you ever watch the movie Gettysburg, you'll see in the scene depicted by Richard Jordan when he's playing Armistead what was happening when they crossed the Emmitsburg Road July 3rd. You will start to be able to see the perspective of what they had to endure and what they had to go through when they started to cross the Emmitsburg Road, when the canister and grape shot opened up on them, and it was an absolute massacre and bloodbath. So I'll see you at the Emmitsburg Road. So I'm starting to get closer to the Emmitsburg Road, but as you can see over in the distance, that right there is Little Round Top, and that's Big Round Top. You can see it much better from here. So the artillery from Little Round Top is starting to open up at this point, and cannons from Cemetery Ridge and Cemetery Hill are starting to open up right now. But as you can imagine, or just try to imagine, the absolute chaos right now and the basically crossfire that these Confederates are in. These boys from Virginia crossing the field, my ancestors, my distant relatives from Nelson County, Virginia. But there were witnesses of this battle or of this charge that say that the Confederates marched so honorably. They were in perfect order. They were not out of order, and the shine from their steel, from the steel bayonets off of the sunlight. I mean, people from all over the field commended the soldiers of Pickett's division and Trimble and Pettigrew's. They said that these men marched with such precision and such orderly fashion that it was so honorable and so miraculous that they would be able to go across this field being under so much heavy artillery fire. But they did it because they were ordered to, because they knew the cost, they knew the circumstances, they knew the pressure that they were under, and they knew how dire the cost was to be able to march across this field in order to take Cemetery Ridge, which is right in front of us right now. And this charge, or this assault upon Cemetery Ridge, is what would decide the future of the Confederate States of America and decide who would win the Civil War. So right now we are approaching the Emmitsburg Road right here, and I don't see any openings. Hey, I don't know, man. We'll try to see if there's any openings. I hope there is, because I'm trying to get to Cemetery Ridge. So I'm going to stop the video and try to see if I can get around this to be able to get straight up to Cemetery Ridge right now. So bear with me. So right now I'm at the fence line. So this is the Emmitsburg Road right here. So this was here during the Battle of Gettysburg. The Confederates had to cross this fence line. So approximately this position, that is the copse of trees that I was talking about earlier in Cemetery Ridge. So they had to hop this fence. So once they hop this fence, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it's going to start to get hairy. So that's the angle right there. So the Virginians, primarily Pickett's division, now they're going and being engaged with canister, grape shot, and infantry musketry fire. Now they're close enough to get bombarded with the Union muskets up on Cemetery Ridge. The Hancock's 2nd Corps Army of the Potomac is now going to engage onto them. To give a little bit of more specific details, to be able to talk about this, that's the copse of trees. So right at this position, now you're starting to get opened up upon. Now it's really a charge. Now it's at the double quick, which at the double quick means run. Okay, now it's a organized run, it's a strategic run, but now you have to run across this field, because if we don't get here in time, if we don't quicken this pace up, we're going to get butchered out here. So right now, Kemper's brigade is to my right, going that way, and Armistead and Garnett are going this way. So my ancestors are over on my left. The Pontons are over here. Thompsons, the Fortunes, the C's, the Randolphs, they're all over here. 19th Virginia right here. So right here at the copse of trees, right here at Cemetery Ridge, the 2nd Corps is consisting of, like I said before, the 69th Pennsylvania, the 80th New York, and copse of trees is right in this area. So the 69th and 80th New York and the 19th Massachusetts, the 42nd New York, this whole line right here, so about approximately that position. So the copse of trees right there, that clump of trees, this is where my ancestor, the 19th Virginia, the Garnett's brigade and Armistead's brigade, this is where they're going to do the double quick and run to try to meet at that copse of trees. That's the epicenter. That is where everybody's converging upon this line in Cemetery Ridge, primarily of Pickett's division. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do it. Let's go. At the double quick, let's go. So right now I'm at the double quick. I'm going to hold this steady because it's going to fly everywhere. So right now I'm at the double quick. So right now I'm being opened on upon canister, grape shot, musketry fire. Boom, 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 boom. My men are getting butchered left and right. Right here. So Kemper, Armistead, Garnett, they're getting butchered right now, ladies and gentlemen. But we got to meet right there at that copse of trees. That is the epicenter, not the double quick. So right now, they're marching, but they're getting butchered left and right, left and right. Enemy fire, musketry fire is opening up right at this position. So you see how close we are to that stone wall? We're meeting right here. The adrenaline's going. Hold on. Okay, got a low battery signal. My God, my asthma. I'm out of shape too. So the adrenaline's going, bloodline's going, bloodstream's going, but these men don't care. They're willing to take this position. Oh my God, I gotta stop. I'm gonna gas myself. And so they're willing to take this position, and they got to at all costs. So right now, they're marching up here, and they're gonna meet at that copse of trees. So I'm gonna try to get over there. My God, I'm a disgrace to my ancestors. Holy shit. Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna try to make it. Wow. When you start to do this, ladies and gentlemen, and you put your feet on the ground and you reenact what they did, it is not as easy as it looks. Look what I just did at the double quick right here. From the Emmitsburg Road up this hill to Cemetery Ridge. There's the copse of trees. This is where Virginians would meet and engage with the Union Army 2nd Corps of Hancock's Corps. This is where they would meet, where I was this morning. Remember I talked about the hand-to-hand fighting and the struggle once they breached this wall? So about this point right here is where the Virginians of Pickett's division breached the wall. And there's the famous copse of trees right there on Cemetery Ridge. I'm going to try to find that opening again near the 69th Pennsylvania, the Irish regiment. Okay, perfect. I got the opening right there. So they would breach this wall, and then they would converge. So I'm scaling the wall right now. There's the wall right here. Scaling this wall, breach this wall, and now it's hand to hand. Union forces are now falling back a little bit. Hand-to-hand combat. And there's the copse of trees. And ladies and gentlemen, I just marched across the field, or ran across that portion of it, but I just did the Pickett, Pettigrew, Trimble charge. And I am so proud that I was able to do it, because it's been a dream of mine to always do that and to reenact what those men went through on July 3rd, 1863. But to be able to put you in the first person perspective so you would understand what it means and what it represents. I have an empty stomach. I'm sweating from head to toe. I'm exhausted. I just walked this whole field, and I finally came back to my final destination on Cemetery Ridge. And I am so proud and honored that I just made it up here. And right behind me is the copse of trees. This is approximately where I began at 10 o'clock in the morning. And right now it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've had a couple snacks and I'm exhausted, just like my ancestors were from Pickett's division of the 19th Virginia Volunteer Infantry Regiment. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to retire. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Peace.